73, which honors the 105th birthday of Rosa Parks and urges all Californians to remember this great American woman. The history of black people in this country obviously is rather unique and vibrant, and it is only appropriate that we begin Black History Month with a celebration of one of its most significant icons, Rosa Parks. There's very little I can tell you about Rosa Parks that you don't already know, because her story is told over and over again. And we all know that she was a woman of tremendous courage and strength. We all know that she really wasn't physically tired any more than she had been before, but she was just tired of being treated the way she was treated in this country. She was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And as a result of that, it motivated her to once again stand for what was right and what was just. But when I teach history to my students, I try to help them understand more than just the factual information that they see, but hopefully to glean from it something that really should motivate them to be a part of history themselves and to make history in their lives. You know, when I think of Rosa Parks, I often talk about the power of one person, the power of an individual to bring change in the midst of all of the things that people are faced with. And when we look at African American history and you think about the kind of challenge that African Americans have had in this country to overturn slavery, to fight for justice and equality against the most powerful force in the world, and to be just small individuals who do that because they're not powerful. They don't come from powerful countries that can come in and defend their identity and who they are. And yet that internal strength and that internal perseverance is what drives them each and every day to be a part of this country, to make a difference, and to demand that they be respected. You know, when I think of Rosa Parks, she's not the first who sat on the bus. And oftentimes you hear historians talk about all the other individuals who fought against that system. Those who refused to get up on the bus, those who refused to move, and they were pulled off the bus, beaten, dragged, sometimes lynched as examples of what you should not do. And you think about that and you say to yourself, oh, so she wasn't the first. No, she wasn't, but there's still courage in it, because think about it. If you had seen what the results of your actions would be, you'd be less likely willing to take those actions. It wasn't that she didn't know that she was going to be arrested. She had no idea what would happen to her. She knew what had happened to others. And yet, despite that, because it was right, because it was just, because it was her time, she decided to do that anyway. And that makes her even more courageous, because she knew what the end result was going to be. And I say that to you because as you think about the challenges we face today, and you think about all the things that folks tell us, why are you going to do that? You know it's going to happen. The same thing happened last time. They're going to take you off the bus, they're going to give you a ticket, and you're not going to get any further. And we're still going to be in the same condition. So why are you doing this? And we're confronted with that reality as we talk about change and progress and progressive things in this house. So they're going to do the same thing over and over. And we often talk about those who continue to persist. And yet Rosa Parks stood up because it was her time and her persistence that eventually became the one drop of water that created the flood. So when we talk about that, oftentimes people say, Dr. Weber, when will you give up? When will you give in about the education of African American children in California and this nation? When will you start talking about closing the achievement gap? When will you stop talking about accountability for every child in this state? When will you do that? And I have to remind people that I am the daughter of the Rosa Parks of the world. I am the persistent knock at the door for justice and equality. And you should be the Rosa Parks of the world too. Because if it's right, if it is just, it is our time to continue to knock at the doors of inequality, and it is our time to demand justice and freedom for everyone. So I'm excited always when I talk about people like Rosa Parks, because this is a small woman doing a great thing. And we look back on it now and think about, was she really that courageous? Yes, she was, because she was fighting the most powerful force in the world. And they could have crushed her, and we maybe would have never heard of her again. So I asked you to be the Rosa Parks of this house, to stand for justice, to stand for equality, and to make sure that we are heard, because it is truly our time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Dr. Eggman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also stand on behalf of the LGBT caucus as we talk about Rosa Parks today. And also, as like Dr. Weber, I'm also an educator. And when I would stand in front of my students and talk about